Hi everyone, I hope you're all having a good evening and welcome to the fourth episode of UVA Weekly. If you're tuning in for the first time, a special thanks for joining us. We started this show as a way to communicate primarily with our students about the latest on COVID-19 and this very unusual semester, though we hope the information we share here will be useful to other audiences as well. So let me start with a quick review of the numbers. At the time we're recording this on Wednesday, we have 224 active cases, meaning new cases with a positive test result in the past 10 days that require isolation on or off grounds. This active cases number is the most critical since it gives a sense of what we're managing at any given time. Right now, 5% of the isolation space we've set aside for students who test positive is occupied, as is 29% of the quarantine space we've reserved for close contacts. With the help of our public health experts, we're carefully tracking key metrics to make sure the new guidelines we put in place last week around gatherings, masking, and travel are helping us to stay a step ahead of the virus. Thanks to all of you for your patience, understanding, and compliance with these new and hopefully temporary restrictions. As you know, we've also ramped up our testing, and you'll see saliva testing beginning to happen this week around grounds. This will allow us to expand testing in a quick and non-invasive way, and you'll see a video about the process later on in this episode. If you're asked to submit a test, please do so. And I'll say something I've said before, but it bears repeating. You will not get in trouble for testing positive. On a different note, I've heard that a number of you are asking how you can get involved in Charlottesville and the surrounding communities, and I really applaud your interest. In addition to the organizations you're familiar with already, Madison House and service-focused CIOs, the website you are hopefully seeing on your screen right now is a great resource. It lists and describes a number of volunteer opportunities. This site was originally designed for UVA employees, but the opportunities are open to anyone, and there are some great ideas of ways you can get involved. Now, I realize we're entering midterm season, which can be a stressful time even under normal circumstances. Over the next few weeks, it's going to be especially important to take care of yourselves, both physically and mentally, and you'll be hearing more about how to do that a bit later in the show. That's it for me this week. Thanks for watching, and please keep up the good work and following our guidelines around masking, distancing, and gathering to help keep this semester on track. I understand that Cavman made it down to the corner this weekend and had good things to report about the number of people wearing masks, keeping groups to 5 or fewer, and staying 6 feet apart from each other. Thanks again to all of you for doing your part. It will make all the difference. Now, as usual, it's my pleasure to turn things over to the inimitable Davian Zeno.
Thank you, Jim. What's up, guys? Zeno here, and I'm back like I love something. Coming to you with the UVA team to talk all things COVID and news on grounds. As Jim mentioned, we've got another testing program starting up at UVA. I promise this one isn't as invasive as the nasal swab. Let's learn a little bit more about it.
As part of pandemic control on grounds, we're doing several tests. We have nasal swab test. We are doing the wastewater testing, and this is one additional tool that we have added. This is specific to individuals that we can identify fairly quickly. We will have designated places for saliva sample collection. So students have to go there, they'll have to bring their ID, and once the ID is scanned, they will be given a tube and gently drool into this test tube. And there will be a staff member with a biohazard bag, and you drop it in the bag. And that's all the students have to do.
Spit in the tube is straightforward, it's easy. And another thing with the comparison with the nasal swab is the nasal swab protocol requires extraction of this virus, which causes potentially safety concerns. This procedure, we don't even open the tube. We heat activate, and then people will go in there and take out samples. So we skip a couple procedures. It's safer and it's quicker.
People that are positive, but they don't know that they're carrying the virus, if you identify them soon enough and ask them to isolate so they no longer are disseminating the virus to others. So that is the whole point of doing this. And faster you can detect, faster you can do this isolation and quarantine.
That definitely looks more pleasant than a nasal swab. Students who are selected for testing will be notified by email and should proceed to a screening location on grounds. The test only takes a few minutes. Over the last couple of weeks, we have been spewing facts Yeah, I know I have on a polo. It's midterm season. I'm looking for jobs. Grades coming in and they looking kind of wild. I'm tired, but we're here, and that's what's important. Like I said, we have mostly been talking about facts, stats, and procedures about COVID-19, which is helpful. But this week we're taking a different approach. This segment is all about self-care, or what I like to call self-love. Here's 3 small actions you can do to mind your mental health during this time. 1, reduce time on your phone. We have been spending so much time on screens, it's getting ridiculous. If you turn on your phone's grayscale, the grayscale mutes the colors, tricking our minds to not engage because it's less pretty. 2, please adopt a solid sleeping schedule. I don't know who made it cool to pull all-nighters to do work, but I know for a fact that they are evil. You should get 7 to 9 hours of sleep daily. Also, during the hour before bed, put down remotes, laptops, and phones. Try reading a book, meditating, or reflecting on things that you are grateful for. This will help you truly be out like a light. Lastly, get outside or exercise. The AFC, Mem Gym, and Slaughter are open, and they are in compliance with all safety precautions. There's a whole system there, and trust me, I've seen it. It is poetry in motion. Exploring Old Hill Trails can be a fun time, and it's right here on grounds. Also, eating balanced meals is important. Nothing but mac and cheese for dinner isn't okay, but also, don't ask me what I had for dinner last night. You can find more tips on how to navigate this socially distanced world on the Student Health website under Guides for Wellbeing at UVA. Let's hear what some other students have to say about taking care of ourselves and one another.
Hi everyone, I'm Neha and I'm a 4th year at UVA. Today we're going to be walking around grounds and seeing how students are handling life during a pandemic. But first, let's make sure we're 6 feet apart. So, what have you been able to do to see friends and socialize?
I live in a house with 7 other people. So we're having a Hunger Games to see which 5 can stay. And I just hang out with people at a distance if I can in outside spaces.
I've mostly been seeing people one-on-one, so I've had a lot of socially distanced outside like lawn lunches with a lot of friends.
We started inventing a couple croquet sports. We actually have a kickball, and we hit a kickball with mallets. I don't know if that's an official sport yet, but definitely coming out soon.
We've been having movie nights on the weekends, walking around grounds, and just being able to enjoy it and reminisce has also been special in its own way.
So my dog, his name is Leo. He's a Pomeranian Husky. Never thought I'd actually get a dog, but quarantine happened and I was like, I have a lot of time to take care of a puppy, help train him. Wait, before I even say it, he knows.
Do you have a message for the people?
Just try to remain optimistic. Even for myself, that's really hard, but eventually this thing will hopefully end.
We're all a community and we're all affected by this.
This is not a good time for anyone, and it's really hard. Our friends are there for us even when we don't feel their immediate presence.
Yeah, stay hopeful. And stay 6 feet apart.
And wear your mask.
And wear your mask, it's true, it's true.
Nicole Ruzek, the Director of Counseling and Psychological Services, or CAPS, also has some suggestions for students who are struggling. CAPS is offering virtual counseling services to all students, in addition to crisis support.
I'm Nicole Ruzek. I'm the Director of Counseling and Psychological Services. On grounds, we're known as CAPS. Obviously, this has been a stressful time for all of us. I think for students, they're already facing stresses related to academics, as well as trying to form new relationships and adjust to being on grounds. So doing all the normal student things that are already stressful, but then having this added level of stress related to being in the middle of a pandemic. So this semester at CAPS, we're offering a whole range of services for students. We're offering our normal services, so individual therapy, group therapy, care management services, psychiatric services, consultation and outreach, crisis services, all of those things we're offering via telehealth. We've also expanded our group options in order to respond to this moment. At CAPS, we really want students to know that we're open and available, whether a student wants to do one-on-one individual therapy or connect in a group space, or if they'd like us to come to their organization and provide a workshop on stress management or self-care, or if a student is in crisis and needs to talk to someone immediately. We really want students to know that we're here for you and we're available and we're just a phone call away.
In current news, Election Day is slowly creeping upon us, and I urge you to get registered to vote. The deadline to get registered to vote is October 13th for the state of Virginia, and Election Day is November 3rd. If you've moved recently, please be sure to check your registration status and jurisdiction of where you can vote. If you are a UVA student, you can register to vote in Charlottesville. If you have a Virginia license, you can get registered online at vote.elections.virginia.gov. You can also find your polling place, apply to vote absentee by mail, and check your registration status. Please keep in mind that the deadline for the application to vote absentee in Virginia is October 23rd, but try to apply by October 6th so you can turn in your ballot 2 weeks before Election Day. If you're out of state like me or don't have a Virginia license, you will have to turn in a voter registration form. Here in the 5th District, Democratic nominee Dr. Cam Webb is taking on Republican nominee Bob Good. The race is looking like a toss-up, so your vote might matter more here. Want to find out more information about how and why to vote this election season? Our own Center for Politics has some great resources at centerforpolitics.org/vote. Another week, another show for UVA Weekly. Don't forget to hit up the UVA team on Instagram or email us at uva@virginia.edu. This has been Zeno, and I'm out like a light.